Okay, everybody. Well, thanks for hanging in there with me here. We are now on to part three of the geomancy stuff in our Foundations in Magic series here. Three parts on how to do geomancy, do a reading with geomancy stuff. Anyhow, we've done in part one, we've done all the interpretations, just some general stuff. In part two, we looked at how to build this great shield chart. Now, you're going to have to do one of these, whether it's in big form or just on a piece of scratch paper, but you're going to have to know, otherwise, if you don't know what the runes are, you're not going to know where to put them in the houses. So, again, I'm using Agrippa's version of it. You don't have to, though. You can literally go house 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This just as you would in a normal shield chart, but you don't have to. If you do what I'm going to do here, or what I've done here, I'm going to use Agrippa's order, and I'm going to also include this on the blog in that references post, so you have that as well. So you see which box goes in which house. That's what this is, okay? And that's what I'm going to use is that. Now, so this is what it's going to look like. I put Bartzabel up here as the Mars spirit. Did I say that right? Yeah, Bartzabel, that's Mars. Could have used one for Mercury, given Albus is in the first house, but I didn't. But that's what this is going to look like. Okay, and then you put the right and left witnesses and the judge here in the center. Still the same kind of overall what the overall outlook is, overall influences and stuff like that. This is going to be the same there as it was on the shield chart. But again, you're going to transfer these over, and either you're going to do them in order on the shield chart, right to left, both rows, or you could use Agrippa's order. So again, that's what I'm doing here today. So in the first house, we have Albus, and I'm interpreting that as an individual who's wise. The first house is about self and identity and all of that, life, success, physical appearance, and fortune. And here we're suggesting that in terms of at least the first house in Albus, that we're looking at someone here who is a wise individual who's pretty much got it together. In the second house, we're going to have Caput Draconis right here. The second house, of course, is, can you see that all right? Have I got it? I do. Okay. Now, the second house is about money and self-worth and finances and all of that. But with Caput Draconis, that's new beginnings. And so it seems like that we either have some new beginnings with respect to our self-worth, maybe predicated upon Albus being in the first house, I don't know. But it could be self-worth or money. It's any of it really, but something new on the horizon, maybe a new direction, a new sense of purpose there, or something. In house 3, now the third house is one where it's about communication and relationships with siblings and short journeys and things like that. But we have a missio there in the third house, so it's just some loss maybe. Now, having to do with interactions, I'm saying with siblings. It could be either a loss of positive communication or a loss of some negative communication. Remember, a missio has to do with the loss of something. It's not a value judgment necessarily, okay? Tristitia, you get into that, now you're talking sadness, so you maybe redefine it a little more there. But with a missio, it's just loss of something. So it could be the loss of some kind of interaction with siblings. Either you haven't talked to them in a while, or you're not talking to them. Maybe they've moved away, or something, you don't have as close a contact. Or it could be that if you've had issues, that's gone now, that's resolving. Fourth house of inheritance, father figures, possessions, the end of the matter. We're looking at Vaya. and a new path forward. New direction, an end of one phase and the beginning of another. And since we see Vaya, maybe we were heading in the wrong direction and now we're going in a better one. Again, predicated upon Albus in the first house. In the fifth house of pleasure and creativity and love and children, we have Fortuna Major. So that would be a positive outcome with respect to that, particularly if it's having to do with relationships. Maybe you've got some relationships with your kids. Maybe they're adults now and you're having issues and that's resolving and you're finding your way back to one another again. Vaya's important there, new direction. In the sixth house of, let's see, health, pets, employment, all of that, we have Laetitia. I got to make sure I've got this in here. I can see it from behind, but I'm just not sure if it's like down here or something. But anyway, I have Laetitia here. Now, that having to do with employment, you can have a pretty positive work experience right now. Also, your health could be really good right now. So it just seems like things are kind of dovetailing for people right now, at least in terms of this particular reading here, this astrological reading. But now we move on to Puella in the seventh house of marriage and partnership. There we go, right there. Also enemies, agreements, judgments. So maybe it's not necessarily a bad thing, a little unstable energy. 3 videos. Gosh, I had to do the second one over completely. I'm not even going to tell you why. It was dumb. But I just like, oh my God, really? No, I can't let that stand. So no way to explain it. So had to redo it. After I finished the whole thing, I'm like halfway through going, oh no. But anyway, when you're talking about Puella in the seventh house, there could be a lack of impulse control with in relationships today with your partner. If so, you might just want to consider how you come across and maybe let things settle out. You know, use the 7 energy for the seventh house to just allow things to settle out before you respond to one another, and you'll probably be in a better situation. Moving on into the 8th house, we have Puella again. And I think that if you do that, you're going to see a transition here into maybe a little more mature response between you and your partner. So, and again, it's going to impact work. It's going to impact, you know, your relationships with everyone, how flighty you are in terms of how you relate. You know, the 8th house is also about intimacy, and so to see them both in the 7th house and the 8th house, I think that we're really looking at something here where we're taking a new direction with Vaya. Also Caput Draconis, we're starting to see a movement into another new type of experience. And so maybe the transition from the Puella energy into something a little more mature, again, maybe more reflective of the Albus energy of in the first house. That's, I think, what we're trying to see there. Conjunctio is in the 9th house right here. And I'm interpreting that through as transformation. 9th house is about transformation, one of the things, but it's about transforming yourself through unity with others. You know, we're at loggerheads with some of us in this country right now because people don't want to wear a mask. Well, I'm sorry about that, but if we expect any of us to get better, we're going to have to do that, right? Well, not everybody, you know, wants to do that, and that's unfortunate. But if we understand that our path forward is together, then we might be able to shift some of that energy, that transformation, into something that's really profound. Okay, so remember, conjunctio for the 9th house. It's telling us that we want to transform through unification with other people, getting on the same path with them, particularly vis-a-vis the virus, the pandemic that we're experiencing right now, because we're still in phase 1. We've not flattened anything, okay? It's an illusion. Here we have Laetitia in the 10th house of career and status and all of that, mother's position in the world or in the community. And here we're talking about joy. So something positive is happening with respect to work or career, maybe with mom, reflecting joy and happiness. However, now Tristitia, relationships might be challenging in the 11th house because that's sadness, okay? And we've kind of seen a little bit of that energy in the 7th house with Puella, but we've transitioned in the 8th to a little more maturity within our relationships. So, we'll just see on that. Transitions with Caput Draconis, also with Vaya. I just think maybe it just means that it could be challenging right here. The relationships could be challenging right now. Allow them to shift in the direction they need to. Drop resistance maybe a little bit with respect to that, and it might be better. In the 12th house, though, of fear, unseen, things that are unseen, so unseen forces, punishment, restriction, excuse me, all of that. You're looking at Rubeus, unfortunately. Well, if I could get it over here, you are. Rubeus, I'd never make it in weather. I wouldn't on TV. I would be like, I don't know how they do that. I mean, I really don't know how they, maybe it's easier than it looks, especially the way they're doing it, but my God, it's awful. I can't even imagine it. Over here. So we have Rubeus in the 12th house. And I think that what it's suggesting is that we want to have some caution. Let's see, what did I write down here if I can see it? Caution regarding the underlying negative influences. Again, when we looked at that reconciler briefly in the last video, it resulted in Rubeus. And so I'm thinking that that's really aligning with the 12th house energy. It's not so much that it's a strong influence, but that it's there and might be the underlying reason for why we now need to come back together in shared purpose, right? So in terms of the right and left witnesses here, we've got Cata Draconis, the tail of the dragon. I think what it's asking us to do here is to understand the effect of either early childhood woundings or woundings that maybe we're not sure where that came from, but maybe it's past life, okay? All of it could be influencing us now, either toward making us know that, hey, we need to move away from that type of energy into some kind of alignment with one another, or it's alerting us to the fact that energy that's divisive and not conducive to conjunctio, not conducive to that kind of joining. It's basically reminding us that it's still there. Okay, and that can impact our shared way forward with populace right here. So you can see how if it depends on how, if you want to cast a chart for just a person, this would lend itself very well. If you're wanting to cast one that is going to be for a month, then the shield chart works very well because you've got 1 week, second week, third week, fourth week. So you can do it that way. Or if you're just more comfortable with the astrology aspect of it, if you're used to casting a house chart or whatever, you can do that. And instead of using the planets and where they are, although you could even combine it really, where the current planetary alignments are in terms of the houses, where all of that is, and then add the extra energy of the geomancy runes into it, and that's going to make it an even more complicated thing, but it might even give you, it would give you a more accurate view of the current outlook. for somebody. So you might consider doing that as well. Again, you're going to have a little bit more complicated chart, but I mean, if you're casting a chart for someone, that's really what you want anyway. You don't want to just give them some little bit, right? You want to really, really give them something that, worth their time to read, basically, and to consider. So I would do that. I didn't this time because I'm just trying to do a general one. But you would just basically, what I'm doing here is I'm combining what the meanings of each house position is with the meaning of the rune, of the geomancy rune that's in that particular location in the chart. So that's all I'm doing. I'm combining them together and coming up with an interpretation. If you added the actual current house positions for a given time, if you're doing this for someone else, and so an agreed upon time, this is what I'm going to do it for, then you would just add that component into the mix. So instead of basically 2 things, you would be considering 3. So again, more complicated, more complex, but I think it's worth the time to do it. So anyhow, I guess that's it. Again, geomancy is fun. It can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. You could theoretically just start, if you did your own runes and you didn't want to do the 4 and you created your own, then you could do them in the same way that you do regular runes, and wherever my rune bag went, and just start, drawing out the runes as you go. If you wanted to do it in terms of house position, you could just let them fall through your hands, if you had these in a bag, and then just take one out, and that's going to be your first house. That'll be where it will go. You can do it however it makes sense to you. If you don't want to do the shield chart ahead of time, you can do it that way as well. If you don't want to do it don't want to do it that way, and you want to throw them each time to put in each house, you can. I'm losing my voice after 3+ videos here. You can also do it that way. It's really about what your comfort level is and how you want to see this. There's no hard and fast rules here, although you will find some geomancers that will say that. They'll give you lots of different ways to do it. So research that. I'm also going to include some links to some geomancy books that I like, that I've used in terms of my own learning about this. So I'll put those down there as well. Know that with those links, now they're going to be an affiliate link, and so if you click on it and buy the book or whatever, then I'll get a commission on that sale. So just know that, and of course that'll be I'll note that on the thing as well. You know that if you go to my blog and read what I write, it's all up there. It's just there everywhere. We have to, if you're an affiliate marketer, you have to do that. You have to disclose every time you do something so that everybody knows that when I click on that link, I might be giving that person some money if I buy something. So anyway, it's not much, and it's just there to help defray blog costs, which, trust me, are way more than anything I'm ever going to bring in. Doing a blog is enormously expensive. I mean, it depends on how you do it, but eventually you start thinking, oh gosh, I need that, and oh gosh, I need that. And sometimes those things cost money, sometimes they don't. Some stuff is free, widgets are free, and a lot of the time that you can use. But if you have to buy something, it's going to cost, and it's going to be yearly, right? So recurrent costs and all that. So everyone's got to make a living, and those people that do these wonderful things that help us bloggers, stay safe and all of that, and keep things going, they have to get paid. So that's what that's for, and so that's why I decided to monetize, and I didn't want to, but I did. So anyway, I try not to be too, nutty about it, but I still have to say something when I have a link that you might click on, that takes you somewhere that I earn a commission on it. So if you buy it. So anyhow, that's what that's about. And anyway, thanks for putting up with me on that. And I do appreciate it. So anyway, thanks so much, you guys. I'm not sure what the next Foundation and Magick thing I'm going to do will be, but we'll come up with something here. This geomancy thing has been a long time in the planning, so I finally did it, and I hope it makes sense. If you have any questions, you can comment there on the blog, or you can comment here on these, and we'll talk about it wherever. And we'll get a conversation going, and I'm happy to answer whatever questions I have. If I need to refer you on to a particular book, I'll do that as well to get you to have a little bit more understanding about it. But other than that, thanks again for watching. I do appreciate it. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, wear a mask if you go out, gloves too if you can, and blessed be.